Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm back again with another video. Same outfit. Yes girl, it's so tiring to go and get ready again and stuff like that. I just feel like today is recording day and my camera went off because of battery, so this is like the perfect angle for me to be connected to the charger and charge and just do this, and we do it. If you are new, welcome. My name is Ranga. I do videos, random ones, vlogs, makeup, reviews, all sorts, but it's never perfection, it's just motivation. The other day I posted on my Snapchat and I said I'm going to be doing a Q&A, and I said if you wanted me, and I did say ask me any question and I will answer. And after I said that, I got another message from one of my Snap followers who said she wanted me to do a video on loss. And I said, is there anything about loss that you wanted me to focus on? And she said the loss of parents, loss of siblings, and just general loss, like how to deal with loss. I was like, you know what, this is such a topic so dear to me, and I feel like I will have a lot to share. And so can I just say a disclaimer that this video is not coming from a counselor, it's not coming from somebody who is qualified to give advice, but I'm just gonna share like some coping mechanisms that helped me when I lost very dear people to my life. So I'm gonna try and make this video as relaxed as possible and as quick as possible at the same time, because sometimes the message is lost in translation by making it very big than it seems. Today I might mix a bit of Shona and a bit of English, because some things are better expressed in our native language. So I will then put some subtitles as to what I'll be saying, because I feel like my Shona can get the best of me when I'm trying to emphasize a point, particularly where loss is concerned. So I have endured loss quite a lot in my life, particularly people that I love and hold dear so much. First, I lost my mom, who I think was 43 at the time of her death, and it was just really, really sad, because I was at that time in my life where I could have really used a mom, because I was like 15. I was just about to do my O-levels, and my mom died. But I feel like looking back then at that time, I feel like although I was 15, I was so young to understand death. But there are things that I've learned from that time that still apply even now when I'm 33. There was a time we were waiting for my mom's body to arrive from the funeral parlor, and I was just hoping that someone would call and say, oh, Vamuka, she's back. And when my sister then died, and I think I was about 24, I still felt the same and I still wished the same. So I've come to understand that when you are dealing with loss, wishing for someone to come back doesn't have anything to do with age. It's just a natural human feeling that we have, that we wish people would come back. So let's go back to the principle. So at that time, I think having my grandmother was such a big source of support. She was there for us. She took the mom role, and I had my sisters, particularly my sister, Netai. She was like mom in a way. Like everyone loved Netsi. It's like from my older sister Ree to Vicky to everyone loved Netsi. So she had like this mother figure, and so we all kind of like tend to her. But I want to rush you to the time. I think like when my mom died, one of my main coping mechanisms was I was quickly surrounded by my sisters. I was quickly surrounded by my grandmother. And so we managed to deal with the loss, and I was young and I was doing my GCSEs, and I feel like that was like a cover, like a blanket. So I didn't really, I feel like I didn't really endure the loss, because we were looked after, people looked after us. So principle number one is to identify people who will look after you at the point of loss. There's a tsumo, or is it a limikira? This is where Shona really, it says guti gutam swafama ivayo, that simply means guti pano famuna, and uningo chaka unganiro, and everyone is looking after you. But sometimes when everyone is gone, you are kind of left alone. So it's about identifying the person or the people who you are going to find sort of console in peace and comfort, and turning to God as well, praying, asking God for comfort. And I found, Guti, if you cry a lot, You know, like if you cry it out, it helps you than if you keep things in, because one day you will just break and you might not be able to pick yourself up. So crying, turning to people. So let's fast forward to the time I lost my sister, because I'm going to be talking from my own experiences. Now I'm 24. I know life. I've done life with my sister. I now know about sisterhood. You know, we used to be so close. Like me and my sisters, with my sister Nancy, who passed on, rest in peace, girl. We used to do like lots of things together with my older sister Ree, with Vicky, you know, and I was the youngest of them. Also, I was always kind of protected, but you know, we had quite a good relationship going on, and we were so close. So when she died, I had just traveled to the UK, and so I couldn't go back home because I had just arrived and I couldn't afford to go back home. So I was like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? When I left, people were saying she's getting better. When I was talking to her, she was getting better. So it was a difficult time of loss for me, because actually she passed on and I couldn't go and be with her. So I struggled to recover from that one. That is the loss that I can honestly tell you that I really struggled with, as well as the loss of my father, who died when I was here as well, and was planning to travel a month later to go to Zimbabwe, and he died like 3 weeks before I traveled, and I last spoken to him like 2 weeks back. So I've suffered loss and haven't been able to grieve with family in one place. And that type of loss is, I think, where I can lend how to deal with loss from. Because when I lost my sister, I lost a friend. I lost you know, like one of my mother figures. I mean, I still have my other sisters who play that role, but you know, she was my best friend, you know, so to say. So you know, I would cry, I would crush, you know, I didn't want to talk about it, but I started writing letters to my sister. And I would write letters about how I was feeling. I would write her letters about, you know, me getting a job, me finally settling here. I would write her letters about, oh my God, you're going to miss the wedding. And I felt like I was talking to her. But what I wasn't doing that time was praying for peace, was praying for understanding, was praying for acceptance, was praying for just God to intervene into the whole situation. What I did was take the matters into my hands and wrote all these letters. But those letters helped me to get what was in my chest out, things that I wanted to say to my sister. And so writing, talking about it, is another way you could cope. Looking back at old pictures, appreciating the times you had with that person. So now we're still talking about death as loss. You know, that's like a form of loss. So I wrote letters to my sister. I called her friends, the ones she was so close to, and because she was close to my older sister, I naturally gravitated to my older sister. I mean, me and my older sister, we are very, very close, and we were close, but I feel like I have separate relationships with all my sisters. And so when I lost that relationship with my sister, it was a loss, and I found that I could still find that same relationship in my older sister, but it was really, really difficult for me to cope. So writing letters, saying the songs she wanted, like just being there for her son. So you could go back and refer back to things that person liked, to go back to the friends that, you know, are close to her, people that know her, do nice things. It's like when I miss my sister, I used to go and buy myself like a bunch of pink roses, because those were her favorite. And sometimes I would just like play. She loved Simon Chimbetu so much. Like, I don't have song as Simon Chimbetu that I can't sing to, so I would listen to Simon Chimbetu recently on Zimbo Live. I don't know if you watch it. Sometimes I watch it. It's a guilty pleasure. They were playing something called you know, Chipindrai Kani Dave Pams. Yeah, Kusnamaya Kuyendwe. That was her favorite song, I think, and she used to sing it and would be like Kusinamai Kunerima. Then we like this part that goes Jehovah Chidibatsirai. Oh, then, you know, she liked things like Rega Kundi Fingamira Teresa. I can sing the deep old stuff from Simon Chimbetu because I used to love just sitting there and looking at my sister singing. So when I lost her, I would listen to this music to cope, to think about her. Now I can listen to it and dance. There are days when I listen to it and cry. The time I was listening to it after I lost her, I would cry buckets, And so I found that talking to my grandmom, talking to my other sisters, telling them that we missed her, talking to her son, talking to her widowed husband at the time, just gave me comfort, peace. And when I managed to then go back home to put flowers on her grave and just say my heart out and just be like, oh my God, I miss you, I felt so much better. So sometimes when you are dealing with loss, facing the grief, going in front to face it face to face with prayer, with support, with comfort, will help you to cope better. So there's a lot of things that, there's a lot of principles that we learn from loss. You need to, I feel like it comes in in stages. So you've got to accept the loss. So I think there's the part where you are in bargaining mode, where you are saying, why has this happened to me? Like, why me? Why me though? Why not somebody else? And God has chosen for this to happen to you, but you are struggling. It's like bargaining mode. So that needs to happen for you to fight with those feelings. Then I think we move on to acceptance stage, where you think, okay, so this has happened, this person is gone, or I've lost this, I've lost this child, I've lost my marriage, I've lost my friends, because sometimes also losing friendship can be really, really hard. Do you know, there are some friendships whereby people don't go a day without talking to each other. And imagine if that friendship is just cut off. It's like you've lost a part of your life. So I think it's then accepting that this has happened and then thinking about ways to move on. So occupying your time with positive thoughts, doing things that you like, doing things that keep you occupied. I also think that when we're talking about being occupied, it's also not about numbing your pain when you're dealing with loss. Because I think the thing that we do as humans is like we rush to kind of want to be okay because we want to numb our pain, because we don't want people to kind of worry about us. I think it is important for you to go through pain. And then in your pain, that's where your strength is and your acceptance is for your loss. So if you've lost, let's say a job, it could be hard because actually maybe your mortgage is due and you can't pay for it. Electricity is like, your bills are like there. Your car is at the verge of being taken away because you can't pay for it and because you've lost your job. And so acceptance can be so hard. So you might move straight to depression mode because of these things happening. So I think it's important to take a sit down and say, okay, so this has happened. What am I going to do? Dijaita say, how am I going to get there? So loss is not all about just sitting there and cry. It is about accepting it, crying, picking yourself up, mending yourself, praying, courage, surrounding yourself by positivity, by people who will help you get over the loss. I'll give you an example. There is no point in you helping a friend to arrange a wedding when you are going through the loss of your marriage. You are just going to create more wounds. I know that this is a deep example, but I had to. There is no need for you to be with somebody who is throwing a lavish party for one of her very best friends or her best sisters when you've just lost your sister, because maybe you're not going to be positive influence one for that person, and maybe that's going to wake up some wounds in you. So I think it's taking time out. One of the biggest strengths that you could ever do for yourself is learning to take time out. Just taking time out to say, I need this space because I need to think. I need this space because I need to grieve. I need this space because I need to get myself together. This is something that a lot of people say. The phrase, I need to get myself together, is used a lot. But I think it means a lot. So in loss, don't forget to get yourself together. Pick up yourself. Sit there, map out. Talk about your feelings also. Go to church, confide in the friends that you know that are going to support you. So loss is just not all about, oh my God, I've lost, I'm going to stay here. And I know that these things are so easier said than done. But I always link my life to God and the grace that he gives us. We've got the grace. So I think sometimes it can also be difficult to pray. Like I found it difficult to pray after I lost my dad. I found it really, really difficult to pray because I was so angry. I was so heavy. I was like, God, but how could you let this happen? And, like, that time I felt like that's the time like I appreciated having my father in my life, and it was the time that I really was gonna go home and like sit down with my dad and have a heart to heart. So I kind of felt like I was robbed of that moment. And so when it happened, I suffered a great loss and I got so angry. And then I think I found comfort when I went to see like my dad's twin sister. And like I gave her such a warm hug, and I just really felt like this closeness to her. And I felt like I had like broken down the barriers. Like I felt like I felt like I had recovered the pain that I was going through by not going to see my father. So like when I saw his twin sister, so this is why I was saying to you, sometimes going back to the people that person loved, the people that person especially in death, because you can't go to your friends sometimes because the friendship is gone. You can't go to your ex-wife's or ex-husband's friends at the time when things are really heated, because actually they might set you back a little. They might tell you, oh, he's moved on Ningi, and when you had just recovered, you are back to square one. So it's about protecting your space as well. Do you know, space, like I can't emphasize this enough, guys. Space is so important when you are going through loss. People are so important when you're going through loss, and they are important in two ways. They could help you heal, but they could also help you break. So it's so important, Kuti, who do you surround yourself with? Pangvayo, who do you surround yourself? Like I love people, People are there to support you, but people can also make or break you. So if you are going through loss right now and you're really struggling, think about the people around you. What are they giving in your life? What are you getting from them? Are you losing or you're winning? So I find praying, kuti Mwari ndiratidze, like, where I should tend to for comfort. Ndiende kupi. Another thing I wanted to talk about with loss is you need to be looking at your mental health. In I think in England and Wales, and I stand corrected, or I think it's in the UK, that 1 in 4 people will be affected by mental health. And I think in the world, the statistics are more than that, obviously, because we're looking at a wider number. But if we're just thinking about, like in the UK where I am, at the moment, if you imagine, Kuti, 4 people, like if 4 people, it's like 1 in 4. We think, having been brought up in Zimbabwe where there's such a stigma around mental health, if you think about it, Kuti, when we're talking about mental health, it's not necessarily someone Arkumbanyam Street, with Fudzirichenda Oko and Achifura Yembe, like the mental health patients that we saw and witnessed growing up. I've come to understand that it's more than that, anxiety, depression, just so many things, just being uncomfortable in yourself is some sort of mental health. So you can imagine that if you're going through loss, it is going to impact your mental health in a big way. So it's about being in tune with yourself, thinking, why am I feeling? Do you know, there were days when I lost my sister that like I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to. I sat in the kitchen on the floor. I just felt like I needed to sit in the kitchen per floor, like. And Rod would be like, can you get up? Like, why are you sitting like that? Like, why are you doing that? And I would be so sloppy, grouchy. And I wasn't myself. And I thank God for my grandmom, because we prayed together and I kind of snapped out of it. So this is why I'm talking about mental health when dealing with loss. There may be a time that you actually need a GP referral to deal with loss, counseling. Because, Zia, we cope with things differently. They accept things and they can manage to deal with it, and they have a good network around them. But if you feel good, you are not coping, there's so much help. Do not worry about stigma attached. Your health matters. I can't tell you enough how many times I've sat with friends and family, and we talk about mental health, and you think, hang on, mental health is so real. Like, gone are the days we just thought it is a game, So for me, those are the principles I would use to cope with loss. And these are things that work for me. What works for me might not work for you, but it's about trying. I feel like if we never try in life, then we would never know how things would pan out. So praying, mapping things down, picking yourself up, being in tune with yourself, turning to friends you know, praying, asking God for grace, getting in bargaining mode, acceptance, then finally dealing, and look for a coping mechanism when anniversaries come. This is the last one I will leave with you, because I think with every loss comes an anniversary. Do you know what I mean? Because can you imagine if we're talking about the loss of a child, there's going to be the day you actually went into labor to give birth. If we're talking about loss of a marriage, there's going to be your anniversary, your wedding anniversary, be it muchato, be it the traditional marriage, okay, be it a wedding. And then if we're talking about the loss of a job that you loved ever so much, you're going to remember the time you started that job. And if we're talking about loss of friendship, you might pass through somewhere, or you might think, or there might be an anniversary to that day. You know, if we're talking about loss of a parent on your birthday, on Mother's Day, on Christmas, you know, days, sentimental days are such a trigger. And so I want to leave you with some thoughts to consider, and some you know, life helps to tend to, and during anniversaries, you know, things that you could do to manage on anniversaries. You know, every anniversary is different for me, especially for the death of my sister. Sometimes I light a candle, sometimes I will have her picture and a candle and some flowers just to remember her, like really, and pray just, you know, for her son, pray for me, and, you know, just accepting, pray for her family for just accepting. And most of the time, like always, I will buy pink roses. I had pink roses last week, no, 3 weeks ago, because her birthday was on the 24th of February, and so I went and bought some pink roses. And that week I was just remembering my sister, so she loved pink roses, and so I get them for her. My mom loved burgundy lipsticks, so on her birthday or on Mother's Day or on her anniversary, I'll wear like a darker lip just to remember my mom. You know, my dad. I love my dad, and, you know, I absolutely miss him. Don't worry, I'm okay, and I won't cry. You know, I prayed to God so he would give me strength for this video, so I can be of strength to you as well. You know, sometimes I think also, just leaving you with these thoughts, sometimes as we begin to look at loss as gain, you know, because that's what the Bible instructs us, isn't it? You know, that God, there's a time for everything, a time for crying, a time to be born, a time to die. It is gain for God and his glory, because we all come from God. And I think if you lose something, because it's God's will, he's done it. So always remember that all loss is not loss. All loss is gain also, because sometimes when you lose something, it is a blessing in disguise. If you keep going and you keep saying to yourself, do you know what, I'm gonna find out what God's next plan for me is just keep going. You know, I hope that this video was helpful. Sometimes, like when I'm talking about these kind of things, I speak so fast, I can't stop myself. That's just how I am. Because I feel like sometimes, like if I speak slowly in subjects like this, I end up kind of feeling a bit emotional. So I kind of, you know, run through it. So I hope this has helped you and you've picked up something from it. But, you know, don't suffer in silence. You know, I am also always here if you wanted to talk, you know, like if you're going through some sort of loss, you know, if you just need us to partner in prayer, or to just, you know, sometimes I find sometimes talking to strangers about experiencing your loss can be helpful sometimes. This is why people go for counseling, because it can be difficult talking to people who know you. So yeah, just, you know, remember the principles I said about. Guys, I am going to end this video now, because it is now 25 to 10 and I've been recording since 7, because today I actually did 3 videos. So don't forget, there is a giveaway for Chira earrings, which I showed in my previous or the video next. I don't know which one is going to go first. We'll see. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go now and start my weekend, because it's Friday today. And so subscribe if you haven't. We time and again have videos like these, intimate space here. So subscribe, turn on your notification alerts, so you never miss a video from me. If you have any video requests, be it your one person, this video was requested by one person, but I know that one day it will reach someone who is in need, and you might refer to it. So if you have a video request, something you want me to talk about, something you want me to address, let me know. I'm always really happy to say it. So guys, I will see you in my next video, and it's been absolutely a pleasure talking about this subject. It is a subject dear to me. It is a subject we can't avoid in life. So I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.